All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to discuss the latest offseason news and rumors in New York Mets land. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are now recorded live regularly every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time during the off-season and into spring training. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live, which also includes live reaction shows to off-season moves that are not available on audio, but only on our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for some more content over there. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 186 of our show. And let's just say we are getting closer and closer and closer to pitchers and catchers reporting, and we are getting closer to spring games. Games are going to be played in this exact month. Either way, I am excited to see what this product's going to look like on the field. I'm excited to see some of the young guys in spring, obviously. Either way, Andrew, you are here. We're kind of hanging on by a thread with your connection because you've been having internet troubles all day. Either way, you're here. I've seen a lot of people asking about Frank. Frank will be back next week. And we did get a confirm on that, so he will be back next week. He's been busy recently. And then the next week after that, we will be having a very special guest on our show, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But Andrew, we're getting very, very close to spring training. Baseball will be played this month. How you doing?
We're 2 weeks away from pitchers catching. 2 weeks from today, I'll be in Port St. Lucie. But we good. At the Winter Olympics, teams are going good. Most of the big free agents now are signed. A few little things to get done, but overall, again, life's good. And baseball is slow but surely. Because Sunday after the Super Bowl, it's baseball season.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much of that you guys were able to catch up. He's kind of just been lagging in and out a little bit, but let us know. I mean, I'm very excited to see what they have planned for the rest of this offseason. It seems like there are possibly some moves that they could be making in between now and spring games. You never know. They have talked about possibly being more active in that way. Andrew just had to step out because I think he's been having some issues with his connection. Either way, we have definitely had a situation here where there's a lot of angst right now. You see a lot of pitchers in St. Lucie at this current moment getting some early work in. Some of them are going to be participating in the WBC, which is probably the main reason as to why they're getting extra work in. We've seen Nola McLean. We have seen Jonah Tong. We have seen a lot of Freddie Peralta. He has been very active, very smiling at Mets camp. So that has definitely been exciting to see. And we've also seen some of the young minor leaguers as well take some live BP against some of these young players. We know that Carson Bench is already down there. We know that he is definitely going to have a lot of eyes on him. So it's definitely exciting time here as we are in the early stages of spring baseball. It's not even spring down here on the Northeast, or up here in the Northeast. However, down in Florida, it's a lot warmer there. Let's say hello to some of you guys in the chat. We've got Ghost in here. We've got Matt. We've got Evan. We've got Tony saying good evening, gentlemen. It's just me as of right now, just waiting out to see if Andrew is going to be able to come back because he has been having some really, really rough struggles with his technology. Let's just say that. It looks like he is back in here. Let's see if he's able to connect. I don't know. I'm guessing he probably is going to be going in and out, but he's loading up. Let's see if he's able to come through. Either way, Brad saying, can't wait. Baseball needs to start. Who cares about football? It's probably if your team is not in it. I mean, listen, there's two fan bases right now battling it out, and there's two teams that that were in the Super Bowl, like 10 years ago? I mean, people are ready to finish it up.
Everyone's like, oh, the Chiefs dynasty's over. Yeah, Chiefs dynasty's over. And New England's back. Cool. That's always fun.
Yeah. I think, let's see. I think you're good now. I think you're relatively good. You're at your normal state right now. So I think we're good. Either way. Okay. PBA saying Andrew with the 56K dial-up. Whatever. Is Andrew using an original Apple computer? Man, we've got all the roasts coming in here. Yeah. Andrew's Wi-Fi is like Joe Meningo, very bad. Jeez. Biscuit saying LGM. Biscuits, I don't know if he is a new subscriber, but welcome. For those of you in the chat, make sure to get your comments in. We'll get into your questions throughout the show, and we're going to get into plenty of topics. Now, obviously, we know that as of right now, the roster is pretty much complete. Maybe there is another bench bat that they add in, maybe a flyer that they take on a minor league deal. Maybe there is a reliever that they possibly add. We are going to talk about all of that. But there was one guy that has been mentioned over this past week, and I want to get into it. And it's actually somebody that you mentioned, Andrew, in one of the last episodes that we actually have done, and that being Ty France, who the Mets have been in the market for, as we got that report from from Red Sox beat writer Chris Cotillo. I don't know if I said that correctly.
Something like that.
Saying that the Mets, Yankees, and the Padres and others have been involved with free agent first baseman Ty France. Now, the Yankees, right before we just went live, re-signed Paul Goldschmidt. So I don't know if they are still in this market. Maybe you can just cross them off because he's also a first baseman. I have absolutely no idea. However, if we were to do a little bit of a deep dive into Ty France, last year in the power department, definitely has taken a slide back in those last 2 years. He was acquired at the trade deadline by Toronto, who ended up going all the way to the World Series with Louis Varland for two minor league pitcher and a minor league hitter. You can obviously see last year in 92 weighted runs created plus, only 7 home runs, 52 RBIs, 32 extra base hits, however. We know that he is a big contact guy from the right side of the plate, refuses to walk either way, but does make a lot of contact, and his bat definitely spreads across the zone. However, one of the big selling points and one thing that I feel like as to why the Mets are attached to this is obviously the defensive side, where he was a plus 10 outs above average, which was the 96th percentile in the league at almost 1,000 innings at first base. He also has some decent quality contact against velocity and against breaking balls, so he's not a complete slouch offensively. However, with runners in scoring position, good situational hitter. He was better in the second half, was actually played very decently with Toronto as well. He's 31 years old, former 34th round pick, back when they had a 34th round in the draft in 2015 by the San Diego Padres. He's bounced around a little bit. We know that he is a big contact bat, definitely peaked in Seattle. However, it does fit into what the Mets possibly could add and help their roster with, mainly because they have Jorge Polanco, who is going to likely be playing first base. And when it comes to Jorge Polanco, he has played 0 innings at first base in his major league career. So Polanco definitely goes into the DH conversation as well. We all know that he is a well-seasoned bat. And then you also would put in Ty France. So again, we know that there is another moving part to this because there is a certain someone who is out of minor league options who would also be in this first base DH category, that being Mark Vientos. However, who knows how they approach this? Could this just be a minor league deal? Who knows? Could this be like similar to what they did with Luke Voigt or G-Man Choi? I don't know. But Andrew, you're definitely familiar with Ty France for his time in Seattle when he was at the top of the world. Defensive first base was good last year. I don't know. It's weird to think about this, but it definitely could help what the Mets are missing or looking for. Well, I don't know. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the Rhino has some sources, or it does, or I'm just that good in the GM space. But again, it's as of right now, it's an uncomfortable spot roster-wise because again, you have Mark Vientos still here. If you move a Mark Vientos, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it is insurance for what this project of Jorge Polanco is. Where there's a world where Jorge Polanco should just be the DH. Put him in the DH spot. You put Ty France, hit him eighth, and play first base. And again, run prevention. You get one of the best, the best defensive first baseman last year in every metric you look at. You put him at first, Polo's the DH, and you're done. You get another right-handed bat. And again, it correlates to Vientos, which we'll get to later. And it's everything that we've seen what Stearns has wanted this offseason. Great with runners in scoring position. Contact first, but still can hit for power. I'm not saying Ty France can hit for power, but would it be shock me if, baby France hit 12 to 15 homers? No, wouldn't shock me. Am I still good?
You're good. You're all good.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of stuff. So again, it's a good fit, but again, you have to make moves ahead of time. Could it be a minor league signing? I think it's a possibility but again, with the Yankees off the board, obviously the Red Sox reporter, which is weird that the Red Sox reporter is reporting with the Mets interest on a player the Red Sox don't have interest in. That was a unique, at least where the information has come from. But there's not many teams left that need a first baseman. So and again, it's not a power hitting first baseman. But if it's a minor league deal, they should be all over this. But again, guy coming off the Gold Glove, you would think he should be getting Carlos Santana. This Santana just signed. Did he sign a minor league deal or was it a major league deal?
He did with,
he just signed
with
the
Diamondbacks
yesterday. Right?
I think it was a guarantee.
Was that
deal. I'm not sure. Possibly.
Okay, so and you've seen similar guys. Obviously Goldschmidt just signed a major league deal, so I'm expecting France to get a major league opening day guarantee. But again, I don't think you can make this signing now. Because I guess technically you could, because with Mark Vientos going to the WBC, even though he's playing for a team that probably is only going to be eliminated very quickly, you could also bring him into camp that way and say, hey, you sign him and at least he could play and come into spring and play. I'm all for it again, because again, we know how I feel about a guy like Mark Vientos, and we've seen what the Mets kind of feel about him. If he's not hitting, he doesn't provide anything. And this is again the insurance that Polanco really can't play first base, and you go from Pete Alonso, the Cheeto Bear, who was the worst defensive, or one of the worst defensive first basemen, and going strictly to what we were told this whole offseason with run prevention, that you go from the worst defender to the best defender. And that's, again, imagine a right side of the infield defensively of Marcus Semien and Ty France defense. Like, that is, you want to make run prevention this big thing. That is one of the, if not the best defensive first baseman. Are they going to hit enough? That's a different question. But if the run prevention has been that big a deal, in Stearns, it gives you that benefit. Okay, we wanted the bat of Jorge Polanco. We'd like to try because we believe we've done it before, bringing athletes to first base. If it doesn't work and you have that insurance policy being Ty France off the bench, or again, that could come in and play first base, again, it doesn't hurt. But again, there's other moving parts that has to happen first before it's a possibility in my mind.
Yeah, we're going to get into that with Mark Vientos. We also saw some reports about Brett Baty and some stuff like that. We'll get into that, obviously. However, I feel like there is a way that you can pour cold water onto this, mainly just because, like you said, late. Maybe they don't want to give him a major league deal. We don't know what market they're in. We have seen the Mets make moves completely in silent and there's no reports about them. Then they just completely come out and you're like, okay, when the hell were we actually attached to this guy? Bo Bichette comes to mind. Jorge Polanco comes to mind. A lot of these guys that they were attached to. When I can pour some cold water onto this, even though I would take Ty France definitely because I think he is a professional hitter that can anchor the bottom of the lineup, that maybe they're, kind of missing in this like this put the ball in play with, not having a guy like Marte or something like that, like a veteran presence there. The thing is that when it comes to defense with Ty France, he never really has had good defensive seasons. And that's the thing. Last year, coming off of a positive +10 outs above average at first base, which again, range is a lot different of a criteria when it comes to first base. 2024, he was -12. 2023, he was -1. 2022, he was -2. He was +1 in 2021 with limited sample size. So I don't know how much we are continuing to just obviously plugging it in from 2025. Yes, it looks good. However, I feel like when it comes to the bat upside or when you're talking about the glove upside or the glove skill that you could get from Ty France, I feel like this is just more of like a thought of, well, yeah, Ty France could be available. We could see how he does. Maybe it's more of a minor league thing, but also it's like maybe Mark Vientos could probably just do this, right? Like Mark Vientos, yes, I know he's not the greatest hands, but also we haven't seen historically great defense from a guy like Ty France throughout his entire career. Like career-wise, he's a -6 OAA at first base. And listen, I understand. Range at first base is not something that you can just completely hang your hat on. However, this is just coming off of just one outlier year defensively from him, not to mention a bat that has also really regressed in power from a power position at first base. However, one thing that I do want to swing right back to you, and this is a thought that I have here. If they were to give a major league deal to a guy like Ty France, let's say it is a major league deal, and they see him as a guy who's going to be on the 26-man roster on opening day. This really, really tells me, one, they're looking to shop Mark Vientos. That's what that shows me first, because he's out of minor league options. He has absolutely no idea. He has absolutely no wiggle room whatsoever. Same thing went with Acuna, obviously, and him getting traded to the White Sox for Luis Robert. It also tells me that this team is very high on Ryan Clifford being the future first baseman of this team. Because when you look at the timeline of Jorge Polanco playing first base, and they said, okay, maybe he plays around the infield a little too, maybe he plays a little DH, he's going to play some first base. That's not a long-term commitment. It's 2 years, and also it's not a long-term commitment of him playing first base. He could play another position with a guy like Ryan Clifford in the lineup or with a guy like Ty France in the lineup. Ty France will likely be a 1-year deal at the rate that it's going and him still being in the market. That opens up a window for a guy who is going to start off in AAA in Ryan Clifford, who, who knows? That's a placeholder type of move. Could that be them saying, they like Ryan Clifford? I think that's what they're saying. I really do think that's what they're saying with this. If they do bring in a guy like Ty France for a short term, or a guy as insurance for Jorge Polanco, who is not signed here for long term. So, what are your thoughts about that? You have to take Vientos out of the equation, though. You can't just be like, oh, well, Vientos is just going to be off the bench here, because that shortens up the bench, obviously, because he's just a hitter. But that shows me it's like, okay, you signed Ty France. Does that mean that Mark Vientos is out? Is he on the move, and are they prepping for Ryan Clifford to be the next Cheeto Bear?
I think it's pretty obvious. Again, this was something that I think most people has noticed. I do think they love Ryan Clifford because he's the only one left of the Epler trade deadline. Everyone else, Stearns has gotten rid of, except Ryan Clifford. So I do think organizationally they are high on him because, again, he has that. Besides him in the system, there isn't really much pure raw power. Like, you look over up and down, like there's a lot of athleticism and there's a lot of great defense and pitching, obviously, but there's not that power except Ryan Clifford. There might be a few guys that come up, who have some good years. I have a few guys that are not in the top 30 that potentially could be that. But again, that's still, they're young prospects to begin with. But yeah, I mean, again, if they come out tomorrow, this weekend, and they sign Ty France, Mark Vientos, but again, we'll get into it. That's why I kind of want to save everything for when we're talking about the segment. But yeah, Mark Vientos is everything David Stearns is not doing. Strikes out too much. Doesn't hit for, doesn't defend. Doesn't give you positional versatility. Doesn't steal bases. Doesn't run. He doesn't do anything that Stearns doesn't hit with risk. Besides, again, that one year. But again, like not a great risk guy. So he's everything David Stearns doesn't like. And the fact that he's still here, and again, that's why we'll save most of the big thing. Like, he does kind of have to have his foot out the door because, again, he's out of options. He could suck the first 2 months, and there's not the, he's signing back to Syracuse. No, we're losing him for nothing. And again, that's what I'll bring it back up in the next segment or whenever we get to that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to trade him because I'd rather, this is something, again, we'll get somewhat, I guess we could pivot into it because I don't know how much more Ty France we need in our life, in the show. But
yeah.
I would rather take a guy in Double-A and a low leverage pitching prospect now, and to guarantee I'm getting a couple assets, than take the risk that for most of his career he's been a bad MLB hitter and he sucks again first 2 months, and we're in a roster crunch and we lose him to be DFA'd for nothing. So like that's my thing. Again, Mark Vientos is the biggest, like that, like how you have your hit list, where I look at it differently of he's the last piece that doesn't fit this puzzle.
Yeah.
He's the square peg. He's the last
I was just going to say
like,
it. Just going to say it. Yeah.
Everyone else has a role. You can hate some or not, but everyone has a role on this team except for Mark Vientos. Where you can say, oh, he's the DH. In a perfect world, Jorge Polanco is the DH. And he's been a well more proven MLB hitter. And again, yeah, you can say, oh, the upside of the are you trying to win the World Series? Or let me phrase it, because again, are you trying to be a competitive team? Because competitive teams don't battle on, we're banking on upside. Yes, you want to have some of that, but if you have a proven guy there at the spot, and if you can replenish some assets, because obviously you made a big trade, again, it's depending on some, but it did hurt. You gave up two, top 15 prospects in your system. And I'm not saying you're getting a superstar prospect, but if we will get to it, that rumored package, like you're telling me I get that, even though that thing doesn't make sense, which I'll break it down in a second. Like you're telling me I can get a potential. Yeah. Like I'd rather get a couple of pieces for a guy who can boom and hit 30 homers, and but I'm more likely that he's gonna bust, and I'm losing him for nothing. So the asset management and just everything that Stearns has built, it does not fit.
It really doesn't. And to be honest, when we're talking about, the Mets being high on Ryan Clifford, there's a reason for that. I mean, if you were to pop up just his, under the hood numbers, you want to talk about what he was doing in AAA, and he wasn't even hitting that much in AAA. Like he had about 100 plus plate appearances in AAA, wasn't even hitting that well. However, you have phenomenal hitting data. He has an overall player score here over 99 here. Ex-Woba in the 90th percentile, 90th percentile EVs in the 94th percentile, not to mention the chasing and contact rates, pulling fly balls in the air, something that we know that Jeff Albert is extremely hell-bent on. Lots of great quality of contact. However, you are going to have to see a decent season run from Clifford in AAA, which I'm fine with. I mean, listen, Clifford is 22 years old? He is still very, very young, and still young for a AAAer, to be honest, the average AAA player.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with Carson Bench. If you're looking at Carson Bench and Ryan Clifford as future pieces on this team, Ty France is a way to do it. Jorge Polanco playing some first base is a way to do it. Definitely. And then the same thing goes for Carson Bench, who I think is a little bit more farther, a little bit closer to the major leagues than Clifford, because I think Clifford's just a little bit different of a hitter and a different of a player. And Clifford doesn't have those certain tools that a guy like Carson Bench could give you at the major league level earlier. Again, it's just one of those things where if you're trying to create a bridge, this is a good way to do it. You have a great if you're looking at it, a great offensive first baseman or great offensive DH in Jorge Polanco. And then you're also looking at a good defensive first baseman in Ty France, who also can hit, what is it? Is it right-handed? I think he has reverse splits, right? Reverse splits.
He's weird. He's better against righties.
Yeah, he can be an extra bat against right-handed hitting or whatever. Like, you can definitely have some dynamic parts to this roster. Do I think that there are better options out there, possibly to kind of balance out this roster a little bit more? Maybe if you're looking at like left field, I don't know, because I feel like the Mets are a little bit more hell-sent on that than Polanco at first base. But we will get into those guys who possibly don't fit, or the square peg in the circle. Like, that's how we look at it. And one of them goes to Mark Vientos, not to mention with Brett Baty as well, not playing third base on opening day for this team. That will be Bo Bichette. Now, we all know about how the Mets still view Baty as a valuable part to this roster. I've already talked about Brett Baty and how I feel about that whole thing. I'm not going to get into it again. I'm going to just talk about it from the sense of reality and what the Mets are obviously thinking, because, again, I'm not trying to have, shit thrown at my door again. So when it comes to Brett Baty and Vientos, there has been some buzz over these past 72 hours about them possibly being in a trade along with a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates. This all started when we saw a rumor from Andrew Filipponi. I don't know, Andrew, if you know this Andrew. I don't know if you guys are friends. I don't know if you know all Andrews in all the world. But either way, he is a radio personality in Pittsburgh, and he said that the Pirates have been engaged in trade talks with the New York Mets and are pursuing Brett Baty or Mark Vientos. They both play for third base, but both have been rooted from that position because of the Mets offseason moves, as we all know. Bo Bichette, asking price is high, but something still could be done. On SNY, Mets hot stove Will Salmon, one of the best, saying, basically putting some cold water on this situation in relation to the rumors that we were seeing on hot stove, saying that there are teams that like Brett Baty and Mark Vientos. The Pirates are one of those teams. Right now, I don't think anything is necessarily hot when it comes to a deal. That could change, but as far as the Pirates are concerned, I have my doubt as to whether or not they're going to meet the Mets' asking price for that, because the Mets view those guys still pretty highly. I think if they were to look to make a deal involving someone like Brett Baty, it may involve pitching. It may first be something where they deal from their rotation, open up a spot, and get somebody else, but we don't know if any of that will come to fruition. We also had Ernest Dove, who is a source in Port St. Lucie and is big on Mets prospects. He even talked about it. He even talked about it the next day on Twitter, saying that he communicated with a source this morning who doesn't seem too confident the Mets will move either Brett Baty or Mark Vientos this offseason. As always, never say never. Similar sentiment was felt earlier this offseason in the regards regarding the Mets' pursuit of Luis Robert. All about return value. So obviously, this rumor about them possibly going to the Pirates, I think that this is kind of something that is died down ever since we've seen, Will Salmon kind of pour cold water on it. However, like you said, you still have an odd man out in Mark Vientos. I just don't see how that fits onto this bench that you're trying to make it a little bit more optimal. You know that you can send down Ronnie Mauricio to start off the year. You know that Luis Torrens and Tyrone Taylor are going to take up 2 bench spots. Like, I don't know where, again, you have like one bench spot here with like a guy like maybe Ty France or somebody else. Like, they have maybe like one spot because Ronnie Mauricio still withholds that option. So does Brett Baty, but I think we all think that he's going to be on the opening day roster. With Mark Vientos, he's out of minor league options. He doesn't really have a position. He's basically the DH at this current point. There is a way that they can have Baty and Vientos on this team for opening day. But I personally I wouldn't recommend it at the trajectory that this team is going, at the plan that they are going, of how things are being fit in. I don't know. I can't see it as, well, we're going to keep, Mark Vientos here to just be like a DH and maybe play some first base. Like, if they view him as that type of thing with Ty France, like I just said, I don't see where he kind of fits into this, and there's no really way to maneuver. Like, he's got no more options left. So, again, Baty's another story. I don't see how this is going to work out with putting him in left field. I really am not in big belief of his bat. I don't understand why they value him so highly, but I've already got into that the last episode that we did. If you want to check that rant out, go ahead and do it. I'm just going to move past it at this current moment. It's possible, but it also just kind of varies away from what Stearns wants, like we've already said in regards to Mark Vientos. I mean, Andrew, the roster construction, like, I've already said this. I already said this in my frustration with Baty. Like, there's always just like one thing that I'm like, why are we ignoring this? Like, just finish the job here and finish up the team, and then maybe address things short term. And if you want young guys going in there, that's fine. But give me guys who can be trusted in that position and trusted in that role. There still is just a little bit of a disconnect here with the offensive personnel and the position player group here that I just don't get.
Yeah, and again with Vientos, again, it's not fitting. I will say something that I don't know how this is going to go over, because this is just my thing. I do not want to see Ronnie Mauricio at any point this year. Why I say that, he needs to play baseball, and if something. And he needs to play AAA all year. Like, he needs to just play AAA baseball. Like, I don't care if an injury, injuries are going to happen. I understand that. You cannot call this kid up again and have him sit on the bench. Which is the problem is, again, that's why a guy like Brett Baty will be on the bench, whatever. But even still, like, if another injury happens, you're looking at Christian Arroyo, who's Christian Arroyo, non-roster invitee. Radal Brujan was added. Like, those are your options now after you get to Baty, and then after Baty, those are your guys. You don't obviously have Jet Williams no longer here. Acuna's gone. So some of that, like, we had those minor league guys and prospect guys. Those are gone. So, and Jacob Reimer's not coming up yet, maybe in the second half. So, with my thing is, we go back to the Mauricio thing, I don't want him sitting on the bench. So, if he's staying in AAA, then that extra bench spot needs to be somebody who can play multiple things. Like, Brett can play second, third. They're going to try him in left field. All right. At least he's, they're trying to get added some defensive versatility. If you're keeping, let's say you sign a Ty France, then Mark Vientos needs to get Tyrone Taylor and obviously Torrens are going to be. So you have 3 or 4 spots with Torrens, Taylor, and then Baty. In that third spot, you would hopefully like another guy who can, play that versatility. And yes, Ronnie Mauricio can do that. But again, he needs to play baseball. So, like, for me, he's not an option this year. Like, unless you are playing him every day, which isn't, throw the kid in the fire. Fine. If he hits the first 2 months in April and May, he's back to looking like the prospect before the ACL, then fine, you can call him up. But I don't, because you have that last year. And once you call him up, you can't send him back down. So in my opinion, Mauricio is a non-option this year. Unless you have a role for him playing every day, which again, we'll see. So again, with Vientos, if he's your last. You have no defensive versatility. You've got no athleticism because you would have, in this case, France, Baty, Terens, Taylor. That's your bench. So, and Pittsburgh, and this is for the perspective of Pittsburgh, is now we'll get to why this and why I think they are going to be getting desperate, and I think that's why Stearns is still hearing these calls. They didn't sign Eugenio Suarez. That was what Pittsburgh's main offseason objective was after they signed Ryan O'Hearn. They traded for Brendan Lau. They wanted Eugenio Suarez because they needed the bat, because they know they only have Paul Skeens through 4 years, and now their front office is finally waking up and thinking they have a lot of young pitching. If we're a league average offense, we can be what the Cincinnati Reds were last year. So they could get to a point where their options are dwindling now, and they signed, Jose Urquidy, which was like, oh, now they can trade a pitcher. I saw, some dumbasses talking about that. But Pittsburgh could be getting desperate. And Jared Triolo is their starting third baseman, who, if Baty is the piece, and I guess we can shift this conversation to Baty, because I think Baty obviously has more value around the league than Vientos does. If Baty gets traded to Pittsburgh, I would not be shocked if Jared Triolo is one of the pieces coming back, because he is exactly what this bench needs. And the fact that good defender, plays second, plays short, plays third, has played the corner outfielders. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a pitcher plus Triolo for Baty. And we'll see if Pittsburgh gets desperate again to say, you know what, they need one more bat. And if it's Vientos, if it's Baty, again, maybe we'll now shift to potential who could be coming back, because obviously we've seen some people, because we read the Joel Sherman article. They've talked about a few guys. I say that, but then Owen Casey just got traded for, which I bring it back to, again, prospects around the major leagues. Owen Casey got Edward Cabrera. So there's which I compare him a lot to Baty, but Baty's done more than Owen Casey's done in the big leagues. Was a highly typed prospect overall on all the prospect lists, and is like 24 years old, 25 years old, and still found a way to get traded for a good arm. An arm that you said, you wouldn't have traded Brett Baty for. So maybe, you're a fraud, but again, it's a different conversation. But there's a world where if it's not Bubba Chandler.
I wouldn't have, because he's never on the field, but that's a different story, yeah.
That's your Baty lover is showing, but besides the point, like, I don't think Bubba Chandler's coming the other way. If David Stearns pulls that off, that's not happening. Like, and with the fact we got people like, oh, Bubba Chandler's coming. If Bubba Chandler comes, I would buy a David Stearns jersey. I'll make a custom David Stearns jersey, and I'll fucking wear it and buy it.
What number?
I do think 20.
Oh God, I love it. That's great.
Good. No, like, I do think an Ashcraft, that could be potentially something. Hunter Barco could be something. Thomas Harris. I think, like, everybody shoots to the top of the moon, and I think the same thing we saw with the Donovan and Cardinals and Mariners fans about when that trade was going on. Oh, we're getting to the top, and then you end up like in the middle. Pittsburgh's got some really good young pitching. Not just obviously Skeens. Really, there is the wild card, which is the guy that was injured. Jared Jones might be that piece that they move.
I think he's in the untouchable part on for like Baty.
If Bubba Chandler fills that 2 spot, they go Skeens, Chandler, Keller. Then you go Ashcraft at 4. Like, and he's coming off the injury. It wasn't Tommy John. It was the brace surgery. I do think they would move Jones, and also he's a 5'11" pitcher coming off Tommy John surgery. We've seen shorter pitchers don't usually last, so you do have the Mets fear of that. But
the thing is that Chandler has come out of the bullpen. He's also made a few starts in the majors already.
But that was
I don't know
like
if they're
Stearns
completely.
That was more Stearns, like what Stearns does. He's going to be a starter. He's going to be in that rotation.
Well, obviously.
That was just.
But I don't know if they're just going to be like, oh, well, this guy's going to be their number 2. But also, Pittsburgh has been known to be like, well, prospects are major league players. We're just going to put them in there and watch them die, a.k.a. Henry Davis.
And I said that just because, one, that's the upside he has. Like, in reality, Keller will be the number 2.
I know what you're talking about.
But there's a world where post All-Star break, he's balling. You have Ashcraft and Keller as your 3 and 4. They still have Hunter Barco, and they still have more pitching coming behind it, plus potentially getting Jared Jones back. Like, there's a world like if Pittsburgh wants this, they can do it. And it makes, again, if it's Baty, if it's like, again, if you're telling me I'm getting a top, and this is the one thing when I'll let you go, I want nothing to do with Mitch Keller in this scenario. Like, we have Mitch Keller at home. Like, we have enough of those guys. Like, enough with the, innings eater. Like, I'm done.
We have enough of those guys.
I'm done with.
We have enough of those guys.
We got enough of those guys at home.
The guys that are hunched over after the third inning. Yeah, those guys. I don't know. I think
my point is
Yeah, the thought process around Mitch Keller is the fact that he has term that they would probably want to offload, right? They would probably, because like he's still signed through what? 29?
3 years left?
Or whatever?
I think he's at 3. I think it's 3 years of control.
He has a decent amount left on his contract. And possibly absorbing that contract or that term or whatever, maybe that brings down the ask from maybe Baty to Vientos. You never know. Like you don't know. However, I just don't see this happening. I don't see this as a strong possibility because, like, I think that there is going to be a reality where you have Baty and Vientos both on this roster. Like I said, you can fit it in. Do I want that to happen? No. Do I want Ronnie Mauricio starting off in AAA? Absolutely. I do want to see that, and I want to see plenty of that, to be honest. We get to see, the big three of Benj, Clifford, and Mauricio ball out in Syracuse for a decent amount. But again, when you talk about, Ronnie Mauricio, and I think somebody was saying that it wasn't accurate, we're talking about Mauricio. You can send him down. You can't send down Vientos. So Jibby, I don't know if that's correctly, Jibby, saying that in the chat. That's what we were saying, but I understand them blending into with each other because they're all third basemen and they all have had their deficiencies and their injuries and everything. I just don't see this happening. Would I be open to it? Absolutely, because we all know I'm not a big Brett Baty fan. But from the way that they are talking, it seems like Brett Baty is seen as the utility infielder for this team. I don't know how much that is going to help him not playing every day, because again, young players who aren't fully developed, Baty I put in that list as well, because there's still a lot of holes in his game. I don't think that's going to be the best case scenario for him. I don't think that young players should be on the bench and be bench pieces. Same thing goes for Vientos. Vientos should be playing every single day. I don't even know if him being an everyday DH is good enough for him to find that consistency. I know he can hit. I know he's got a good bat, but not playing a position, not doing that. That's a different type of workload that you're going to have to adjust to. And as a young player, it can stunt development. It really can. And I understand Vientos is not a good third baseman. Nobody wants to see Vientos at third base. I never want to see Vientos at third base ever again. However, it does go hand in hand with development for the player. They have to play every day in order to develop. They can't just be part-time players. It's going to stunt their development. Main reason as to why Luis Angel Acuna was shipped out of here. Jet Williams was shipped out of here because he had no place here. So when it comes to Baty, it's more of the thought of it's like, well, he's going to play left field, but you're also like, oh, well, I want to give Carson Benj a chance here, and Carson Benj is going to have a chance. Okay, then what the hell is Baty going to do? Are you just saying, oh, well, maybe Bichette or Simeon, maybe they get injured. But, like, who knows if they get banged up? They've been banged up recently. We know Bichette has his injury history. Or do they just say, well, we're going to use that minor league option on Brett Baty if we need to? I don't know, because I think there's a possibility, but whatever. I think if they regard him so high, if they regard Baty so high, I don't. If they regard him so high, then they're probably looking for a Mitch Keller in return. Maybe they're looking for a Braxton Ashcraft. I personally think Bubba Chandler is out of the conversation. Paul Skeens is completely out of the conversation. To be honest, I don't even think he was ever mentioned. He's untouchable, completely untouchable. On a roster and on the field, he's untouchable. You can't touch him. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Jared Jones, I think, is on that, like you said, it's a coin flip here because he's been banged up. However, young pitching is young pitching. You're going to give him that chance, and he showed a lot when he was healthy. Then it goes to like Braxton Ashcraft, where I think it's there. But then you also look at what else would the Mets need? Bullpen? What the hell do they have in that bullpen? The best they probably have is Justin Lawrence right now, who is basically a flyer guy. And you're not going to trade Brett Baty for a flyer reliever if you value him that high. Maybe you trade Vientos for a flyer reliever and maybe another prospect or something. I don't know. But personally, what I think is going to happen, and this is more in my vision of Brett Baty, of how I feel about it, what I think is going to end up happening is the Mets are going to balk at any trade for Brett Baty. They are going to overrate him internally because they expect a Edward Cabrera type of return. He's going to suck. He'll be sent down to the minors in May, and then he will be traded for pennies on the dollar in 2 years. That's what I think is going to happen because I've seen them do that already with multiple young guys and multiple pieces on this roster that they've held on to for so long. But Brett Baty, in a vacuum, amazing last year, and he can do no wrong. Look at the TikTok edits. However, I don't see them trading back for Dennis Santana. Been there, done that. Gregory Soto, he just signed with them. I don't see that happening. I mean, Mason Montgomery, I think he was with the Mets as a minor league lefty guy. Do you trade back for Colin Holderman? Is he even there anymore?
Gone. No,
he's gone? Yeah. Never mind. Are you looking at prospect capital? I don't think you would. I think it's a need for need type of thing. And like you said with Triolo,
I think
he would be like that type of backup guy. Yeah. But also, Triolo, like, he's also... Wait, hold on. Yeah. So Triolo, he has like a few years of control left, right? He's entering arbitration, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's somebody that they end up moving. But it's also, it could be a utility piece. And I feel like they're kind of viewing Baty as that utility piece when I don't think he is that. So it all depends on what the decision is now, but I feel like we're going into opening day with Mark Vientos and Brett Baty on this roster, and one of them will likely get traded at the deadline. Like one of these decisions are going to be made at the deadline because you have, maybe it's Brett Baty who, I don't know. Maybe they will need him in that infield as a backup infielder, and maybe he does well as a bench piece, but again, I don't know. I have no clue. But the problem is that you go into this thought of shortening up a bench while also having guys playing out of positions that they haven't played, even though I am confident in guys like Bichette and guys like Polanco being able to make that adjustment at those certain positions because they are overall athletes. A guy like Brett Baty, he's not a shortstop. He's not yes, he was a 5 sport athlete in high school or whatever. He's not an athlete. Okay. He just isn't. And I get it. We all want to overcompensate for his athleticism, but his arm is weaker than Nimmo's. His first step is weaker than McNeil's, and his speed is lower than both of them. So I don't know where you're getting at that. I get young player, whatever. And this is just, me continuing to shit on Baty. But come at me, bitch. But anyways, Triolo only hits against the Mets. Yeah, again, I think they're viewing Baty as that backup infielder. Does he excel in that role? I don't know. Triolo, he's like 29, right? Like he's had a decent amount of his career. Like he's played, he can fit into your Luke Ritter conversation. Like he's in that conversation now. He's no longer a removed prospect or a graduated prospect. He is considered a vet now. Swiss Army knife. So I don't know. I feel like they're looking at this as they're going to go into with Mark Vientos and Baty, unless there's more, heat that pops up. But from what I just heard from Will Salmon, who we know is the most trusted in these industry sources, it seems like they're going into the season probably shortening up this bench. So I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. That's what I feel like they're doing.
Also, we never know what the fuck the Mets are doing this year. So, again, Will can say some things, and then tomorrow the Mets do something completely random. I trust Will. I'm not saying I don't trust Will. I understand that.
Yeah.
But how this offseason, anything's going to happen
change
at any
quick.
moment.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing's seen. So, my thing is, the way you said, the Mets already have Baty, and, Triolo would be Baty. Look at the Brewers benches. That's all they are. These white dudes that play 95 positions. That's not a bad thing to have two of them. You have Taylor's your play every.
But you don't have.
Play all
you
three
don't have
spots.
two of them though. You don't have two of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Did. He was above.
No, you don't.
First,
Brett Baty is not a left fielder. He's barely a second baseman.
No, look at the numbers.
He's a serviceable third baseman.
No, +1.
Mark Vientos can't play any positions other than third base, which he's not good at. He's not good at that.
No, he's fat.
Ronnie Mauricio, who likely starts off in AAA, and I want him to start off in AAA, originally was a shortstop, moved over to third base and second base. Good defensive third baseman, but still has not been able to find his step or find his footing whatsoever after that injury. So it's like they don't have that infield, outfield guy. They don't have the Jeff McNeil of this team anymore to come off the bench. They don't have that. And that's where I think a guy and even though I don't think he's coming here, and I think he's just waiting for the Dodgers to call him, Kike Hernandez.
Don't even bring his name up. He's not happening. He's not happening. Don't even bring him up.
Kike Hernandez comes into the mix.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I know it's not happening. Like I said, he's probably just waiting for the Dodgers to call him. But they don't have that infield outfield. Somebody mentioned in the chat IKF. IKF probably could play the outfield. He just signed with the Boston Red Sox. So,
yep.
They don't have that. They don't have that utility guy. I don't see Brett Baty as that utility guy. However, if they're going to try that out, it's probably going to be this trial run of Baty. Vientos going to get DH reps or maybe some first base reps or third base if Bo Bichette ends up banged up, because we've seen Bo Bichette banged up before. And that's the decision that's going to be made at the trade deadline. Or they could fill in the rest of this roster where there's not a logjam and a question mark and an unproven part of this roster, and they could maybe trade Vientos for a reliever. Or maybe they trade Baty for one of these starting pitchers because they value him so high, even though, personally, I think that the Pirates would call them up and say, hey, do you want Paul Skeens for Baty? Nah, we'll stay with Baty. That's what they'll do. Just to troll me. So I don't know. I don't know what they make. I don't know what they do. There still is time left. They still seem to be active. There still is reports of them being attached to, bullpen help and a bench bat, because there are openings still on that bench with Acuna and Jet Williams out of the picture now. So there are thoughts of it because, you have Ronnie Mauricio who can go down to AAA. You have Brett Baty who can be optioned down to AAA, even though I think he's going to be on the open day roster if he's still with the team. Mark Vientos is kind of like that odd man out. And Ricardo's saying, you and I know that we will see things seem to work itself out. I do believe that too, because there's always injuries, of course, and it's always seen as depth. However, when you talk about young players as depth, it doesn't really help. It's not really seen as help. They need to play every day. And Mark Vientos can't play every day at all on this team unless he's a DH, because he can't be optioned down to AAA. I'm not saying that Brett Baty is the guy I want in left field, but where else are they going to look to for him to bring value on this team? I get it's like, well, okay, well, he can just be on the bench and we can have him here. But again, young players don't thrive from part-time gigs. They just don't. They're not going to. So like, there's still a logjam here that the Mets are still dancing around and saying, we like this, we like this. I mean, obviously that's more for, showing value, and you're not going to show your hand and not say, well, oh, we don't want this guy here. But again,
sorry.
Don't even get me started, sweetheart. This is a Mets show. We're not even going to, yeah, exactly. They're not stupid like that guy at the Garden, okay? They have David Stearns, boy genius here, right? Who said how valuable these guys are, and some of them get traded. I don't know, maybe all this stuff that he said about Baty is all bullshit. Maybe all this stuff that he has said about, all this stuff that he has said about guys like Mark Vientos or Ronnie Mauricio, maybe that's all bullshit. Maybe even Ronnie Mauricio is the guy that goes out. Maybe Ronnie Mauricio is the guy that gets moved, and they keep Baty and Vientos. Like, who knows? We don't know. But it's like, I don't know where they can see where this goes and maneuvers. I really don't see how they can maneuver this to where they go into opening day with Baty and Vientos on this team, because you still have 3 traditional outfielders on this team right now. Yeah. 3. And one of them is a prospect that you expect to start off in AAA if he does not pop off in spring. You have Tyrone Taylor. You have Luis Robert. Robert, whatever we're saying. And you have Juan Soto. So your 4th outfielder right now in Major League readiness is Brett Baty, who has never played the outfield. Ever. So
it's left field. You play.
Yeah, just stick him in left field. Dom Smith, J.D. Davis, Lucas Duda, Jeff McNeil. Stick him in left field.
Daniel Murphy,
stick him in left field. Which is another reason why I think this is stupid. But you know what? We'll get to that bridge when we cross it. Okay? We'll get there. Don't worry, guys.
Dude, those spring trading highlights.
But Brett Baty, he want to go viral. All right? She want to go viral. All right? Play with it. Go ahead. Do it. Go ahead and do it. Don't listen to me. Baty played outfield in the minors,
Yeah,
so
did the dude. Yeah,
Mauricio, also in high school. Like, this isn't high school. There's different levels between, he played that in high school. Awesome. It's just, I don't see that as a selling point to overcompensate for guys who haven't really proved that much at the major leagues, even though Brett Baty has proven that he is on an MVP race next year, But it's one of those things that I think they're still just creating either a log jam that doesn't make sense traditionally for these guys. It's like, okay, right now, how this roster is set, Baty, Vientos, and Mauricio all can't play every day. And that's an issue. It is an issue because they're not going to develop if they don't. Mauricio can play every day in AAA. He likely will. But then you have Vientos. What happens there? What happens there with Baty if you have Benj on the opening day roster? Does Baty even make the opening day roster if Benj pops off and they have him on the opening day roster? Does that even happen? Probably does, because they're going to see him as a bench piece. Yeah, a backup infield bench piece in that way, probably. But you don't have a utility guy right now. You really don't. You don't have that.
I mean, hey, you make fun of him. I mean, he's like half ancient, so he's like Frank's age now. So he's not a kid anymore. He can be an adult and sit on the bench. 26. He's an adult now. He can buy his Pringles. He can do it. He's fine. He doesn't have to start, but again, it's not I'm not trying to get you riled up again, but he has his way. Again,
I don't like viewing prospects or young players as depth. That's just never my thing. I don't like it. I don't think it proves anything. It helps at all. It's organizational depth, but it's not roster depth. If that makes sense. Like, if you're going to have a prospect up here, you don't staple him to the bench. If you're going to have a young player here, you don't staple him to the bench. Like how they did with Acuna. That didn't do anything for him. Mauricio, that didn't do anything for him. But they obviously wanted to withhold that option to keep it flexible, which I understand on the outside, but also frustrates me because I know that Mauricio, whether he hasn't proved much at the major league level, and he hasn't played that much and he's been banged up, we know that there's raw talent in there. And there's there's years of development that possibly he can't get back now. Like, there's a strong possibility. Like, there's a real strong possibility. And that more just comes from how the Mets have botched their situation earlier. And the only way you can fix it is with a time machine. However, there is still a roster crunch here that I just don't think should be here on a team that's trying to contend for a World Series. I still feel like there's a little too much of the, he played this in high school, so maybe this will work. Like, I am 100% on board of the innovative thought of having 4 shortstops in the infield. Like, I love that. I think that that's a great innovative way to add in, overall run prevention with great athletes and overall versatility and the tools that they can provide for you. But then you get to this outside layer of Baty, who's this lanky 6-foot guy who will likely hobble in left field just like Brandon Nimmo was after a quarter zone shot. Then you have Mark Vientos, who runs with cinder blocks on his legs. And then you have Ronnie Mauricio, who has displayed speed in his career, but we don't know if he has put that into full gear yet after an ACL tear. So it's like, are we really dealing with athletes here? Or are we dealing with ball players who maybe we're kind of high on, but we just have to shove them down Carson's throat and troll him? I don't know. Who knows? I have no clue how it plays out. Like Ricardo said here in the chat, we all know that things will work itself out. But I don't like looking at young players as the backup option, put them on the bench. That's what veterans are for. Like, veterans who are that's what they're. Tyrone Taylor, veteran, bench piece. Luis Torrens, veteran, bench piece. Yes, you have the DH. Yes, you have the DH. But it's like, part-time players are part-time players, and it's not, as much as I'm not a fan of Brett Baty, it's not fair to him at all to be, he's the 5th infielder on this team. He's the 4th outfielder on this team if Benj makes the opening day roster, because I don't think you're going to get the best out of him, because we already haven't gotten that great out of him already. So, I don't know. I feel like you're setting up a recipe for either stunted development, you're clogging up playing time, and you also have a part of the roster and a department on the roster where I'm like, what exactly are we going here with this position? What are we going here with some of these young guys? Like, yes, it all can work itself out. Everybody can be acclimated to the roster. Maybe Bo Bichette gets hurt. Who knows? Bo Bichette gets hurt tomorrow, and that installs Baty into there. But I'm talking about this with Bo Bichette in the formula here. Because once Bo Bichette were to come back, what happens to Baty's playing time? What happens to Vientos' playing time? Mauricio's playing time? Like, these are questions that I feel like we still just don't have the answer to when we've answered so many this offseason. I think they've done such a good job with pivoting the way that they have, with the resources that they have, and realizing that this team isn't good enough. I still think that there's a deeper way that they also need to etch this out, but those are just little details that we'll see pan out, and we'll see possibly rot. Who knows? But you just never know. I feel like we're just having Vientos and Baty float in the air right now. And you're just not going to get the best out of them. You're not going to maximize any of their skills with the way that they're treating this. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Maybe there's an injury. Maybe I am. But I still feel like we're looking at this as an odd man out situation with some of these guys. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Either way, with Pittsburgh and these types of moves, I do think that with Vientos or Baty, if they were to trade them, it's going to be need for need by far. Pirates are trying to compete. We know that they have a lefty hitter's ballpark. Maybe they would be more interested in Brett Baty. I just feel like you have a crunch on this team that you're really creating this crunch for Brett Baty, who has had 2 good months scattered throughout his entire career, has struggled a lot at the major league level, still has the same problems offensively, not the best defender at second base, has barely played left field, a worse third base defender than Ronnie Mauricio. Like, that's what you're holding it on for? If you want to do it, go ahead and do it. It's a free player, like we said. He's making $800K. Go ahead and do it. It's not like he's completely incapable of being a rosterable player. That's what he was last year, and I'm not gonna deny that at all. But if that's what they're holding on to, and for the fit on Pittsburgh, let's say in their sense, if that's what they're holding on to, that's a yikes for me. And I don't see that going in the right direction that they expect. But what the hell do I know?
Yeah, because the more and more I'm thinking, again, you're complaining about this. This is league-wide. Look at every team. I'll give you 4 examples of this same happening to 4 other teams, and they're not complaining about it. The Baltimore Orioles have 5 first basemen now. All top prospects, and then the Cheeto Bear. Seattle with their second base shortstop, they have 4 prospects plus not Leo DeFrias.
Are any of those
World Series
teams,
guy,
though,
+3.
expected to have World Series aspirations, though? Are
Yes.
any of those
Seattle
teams?
Mariners.
Are any of
Yes.
those teams?
Yes.
Do any of those teams
Yes.
have a $500 million payroll with tax?
That doesn't matter.
No, they
Are
don't.
they trying to win the World Series? Seattle, Baltimore is going to be better. Toronto's got a bajillion infielders now after they signed Cosmo Okamoto.
But you have to
whatever.
understand
They're trying
this. You have to understand this.
No,
okay?
you
have to understand
no.
this. We're in a big market, okay? And Stearns has got to spend like he's in a big market, and he's got to be in there as the swinging dick in the room, all right? He's got to go out there and spend like a big star at every position. We need an all-star at every position.
No. It's all over the league. Everyone is hoarding their young talent. The Cubs had 97 outfielders. Then it played itself out. Now they're stuck with really 2 good ones, and PCA and Suzuki, and now you can have there's 3. Not bad. But like it's all over. Pick a team. They have the Dodgers.
But none of those teams have the resources of Steve Cohen, though.
Oh, don't give it. It doesn't fucking matter. If everyone is hoarding young players,
that's
what it is.
Job. Finish the job, man.
Shut up, Joe. Put an actual hat on. It's actually
what are you talking about? There's nothing to finish the job. You just said Mark Vientos is a square peg in a round hole.
But if they're hoarding them, fine. That's league wide. Everyone is hoarding young talent.
Everyone's doing it. So let's go ahead and do it. Is that what you say about smoking and drinking? Is that the message you want to send to kids?
Yes.
If everyone's doing it, you should do it. You believe this guy, guys? You believe this guy?
Exactly. Be a man. Everybody, name a contender except the Phillies because they have a bunch of 90-year-old. And again, y'all want to be the Phillies? Justin Crawford's the only guy that has. They're making Aiden Miller a second baseman, by the way. Another tall, white, unathletic guy. He's going to have to play second base to replace Bryson
I don't give a shit what they're doing, though.
Boston's got 97 outfielders. It's the way of the game. Everyone hoards young talent, especially when they're free. So until these guys start making money, or unless somebody actually gives you a need-for-need trade, again, I want them off the roster.
But by the time Brett Baty, Brett Baty's actually making money in R1, he's going to suck.
He's Kelly Johnson. Can he just be Kelly Johnson, and that's fine? That's what this team needs him to be. Be Kelly Johnson. I don't need him to be a 50-homer dude. Be Kelly Johnson. And can he be Kelly Johnson? Probably. That's all I need to
sure.
be. What David Stearns wants him to be.
Sure.
Be Kelly Johnson.
Yeah, and I'm going to squeeze chocolate milk out of my nipples.
You can do that. Well, some people can. I'm not going to finish that joke, but some people can.
All right. Yeah, well, I'll do it. And when it comes to fantasy world is what goes around. Meanwhile, okay.
And again, the guy, and here's a perfect example. Kike Hernandez sucks absolute whale dick, but he plays everywhere. He's good at some, but bad at others. That's what he is.
Which Brett Baty
Kike Hernandez is worse than Brett Baty, and you want to pay Kike Hernandez. Again, postseason.
Brett Baty does not have any dog like Kike Hernandez, so I would back up.
No,
on that,
TikTok edits say otherwise. Have you not seen the emotion in the TikTok edits? That is not factual. Look at the TikTok.
It does not matter. Emotion has nothing to do with dog. Okay.
No.
Enrique Hernandez is a big stage man.
Nah.
Okay. He's a big stage guy.
Kind of a fraud, but
He's a big stage guy. Okay.
He's not going anywhere. He's going to be. He's doing David Robertson. He's going to sit. Because he knows he sucks in the regular season. He'll sit at home until about August 31st. The Dodgers will come call him. Hey, you want another ring? All right, cool. They'll sign August 31st. He'll play September spring training.
You think he'll still be a free agent during the WBC?
Oh, 100%. He's not. He's out here. He ain't playing baseball until like the All-Star break. He don't give it. He's going to sit. He's like what Joe Kelly was. He ain't playing. And like I understand. I see a lot of creators talking. It would make sense. I'd love him. He's not signing anyone not named the Dodgers.
No.
Exactly. Like we can talk about it. It's great. It's not happening. So like again, love the content. I love some friends have been doing content. I love it. He's David Robertson. He'll sign like after the trade deadline. He'll spend all of August in the minor leagues getting ready, and then you'll see him in October.
Good for Kike Hernandez. However, I still think it's a better fit on this roster in comparison to what they're doing as of right now.
That's true, but it's just not happening.
We cannot have a 26-man roster of players that Carson is, actually willing an upside for. I mean, we still have to have a few of these guys who drive him nuts. Yeah. And we have to have a few of his team, Yeah. That's the law. I'm pretty sure it's in the Constitution and in the rule book for the commissioner's office in baseball. Either way, speaking of David Robertson, happy retirement to him, by the way, after 17 seasons. Round of applause
he'll be
for
back in August.
David Robertson.
He'll be back in August.
So either way, as we transition into the bullpen part of the situation, and this is where Mark Vientos would go into this discussion as well, if you were to move on from him. If I were to say, out of the likely of the three of Baty, Mark Vientos, and Mauricio, I would say that Vientos is the likely one to go because of him having lack of options, lack of versatility, the talk of them possibly adding another bat. Who knows? However, let's get into some of the bullpen pieces that have been rumored as somebody that they have been connected to, and that being more Milwaukee Brewers players. You're starting to see a little bit of a theme here, David Stearns. What's going on? However, we did get a report from Will Salmon via The Athletic saying that the Mets had trade discussions about Trevor Megill and Abner Uribe, two relievers who are the two best relievers on Milwaukee as of right now. But those were separate discussions aside from Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers, who they ended up getting in exchange for Jed Williams and Brandon Sproat. So this was a completely separate conversation. The Mets obviously have openings in that bullpen. They have uncertainty in that bullpen. Devin Williams, Luke Weaver obviously have spots. You don't know if A.J. Minter is going to be ready for opening day 100%. Brooks Raley in there. Like they could use a reliever or maybe two. Some reliever depth. Let's just say that. Now, as for Abner Uribe, he is coming off of a remarkable season. A 1.67 ERA. Don't do it, kids. Don't do it. Don't do it. Across 75.1 innings pitched. He is a hard sinker baller, high spin, great run to the arm side, and it obviously grades out above average, a 108 stuff plus on his sinker. His slider is obviously his more deadly pitch, high spin, the 2500s. It can go up to 90 miles an hour. He's 26 years old. Does not really use as much extension. He's more of this side swiping 38-degree arm angle, which is kind of default, but from the kind of slender build that he has, he does create a decent amount of deception with his sinker and his slider. Mainly more of a two-pitch guy, but he does have a fastball in there that can reach the triple digits. 96th percentile in average exit velocity off the bat. 88th percentile in hard hit rate. And he was in the 100th percentile, leading all relievers in barrel rate. So not finding the heart of the plate, which as a sinker baller is extremely important. 91st percentile in whiff rate as well, 32% whiff rate overall. His slider, like I said, deadly. xWOBA of 190, which is quality of contact. Balls put in play, including balls outside of the strike zone, and also a 46.6% whiff rate, just deadly elite pitch. He also stranded 84.2% of inherited and issued base runners. That was 11th among qualified relievers. Then you get to Trevor Megill. Trevor Megill, a career year for him as well. 2.49 earned run average for him. He struck out 31.3% of batters across 47 innings, a little bit lower of a workload in comparison to Abner Uribe. He is 32 years old. Former 7th round pick by the Padres. He is going to be making $4.7 million. He comes from a very high power arm angle. He can touch triple digits. He averages 99 on the gun for his fastball, and he also has a knuckle curve, which from that certain deception and high spin can also be played in a little bit as a slider cutter-ish type of pitch, as to where fastball curveball can tunnel fairly well for a guy like Trevor Megill. And of course, with Milwaukee being such a pitching factory the way that they are, they were able to maximize it the best. He limits hard contact fairly well for a guy who does not have a sinker and does not pitch to contact at all. His knuckle curve, which of course is his huge put away pitch, a 48.9% whiff rate, a 184 xWOBA. Left-handed hitters can't touch him, and him throwing from the right side, they batted 187 against him, 235 from the right side, but also not that much power as well. And you may recognize that last name. He is the elder brother of Mets starting pitcher Tylor Megill, as the superior sibling, as I'm putting in the headline of this graphic. So you obviously have two really good relievers in Abner Uribe and Trevor Megill being mentioned as possibilities for the Mets bullpen. Who knows how this obviously comes to fruition? Maybe those talks have kind of died down a little bit. However, count how many times I said that. Andrew, we've talked about this already. The Mets bullpen is lacking velocity. We know it is. Trevor Megill would fit that category. Abner Uribe would fit that category. So it's not like there isn't a need for it. Would you pursue this hard? I would. I definitely would. Even though he's, one of them is blood related to Tylor Megill, who has not had as much success. But you never know. There's Milwaukee connection here. So it's possible. It could happen. We've seen reliever trades happen late on in the year. They definitely could have a need for it. So it's possible. And I think that it would obviously help this team with them being elite level relievers that they were last year with Milwaukee.
Leave it with Kyle Dubas, with Sioux Greyhounds, that David Stearns is just trying to collect all his ex-former Milwaukee Brewers. I don't think this is happening anymore. I think this would have happened as, again, which we talked about in the Peralta Tobias Myers deal. I thought one of these pieces would have been it instead of Tobias Myers, that they would have gotten the elite high leverage arm with Freddie Peralta.
We're talking about him separately, though. Like I said,
I know,
we're
but
talking about him
I think they believe internally that they're going to get their gas with guys like Dylan Ross, guys like Ryan Lambert at some point. They have some guys, obviously Albert Alzolay, that they brought in that 1+1 deal is going to be fighting in spring training, though about 96, 97. So I do think internally and already on the roster, they believe that they're gas. Of course, what I would love to add one of these guys to the back end of the ball, but of course. But again, nothing shocks me, especially with this offseason. Everything's come out of nowhere. So again, would I be surprised? I'd love it. I just don't think. I think he wants to have those spaces open. Because, like we talk about with the bats, I do think he wants to give Dylan Ross a leash. Maybe it's not on a straight opening day, but again, you have Albert Alzolay. Again, I think he wants 3 spots in this bullpen to just rotate guys in and out. So you have your big 4, and obviously Mentor will see it probably at some point in April, most likely, or at the beginning of May, we'll get
big 5.
Yeah. So I think, again,
Williams, Weaver, Minter, Raley, Garcia.
It's $2 million. I'm not putting Garcia.
Garcia doesn't have any.
Exactly, but it's a reliever. So. It's $2 million. If it was like 5 to 7, I would say I'd put him in that class. It was a $2 million sign that they can easily, if he sucks, buy out. I'm not putting him in that. I get they signed him. I understand.
It's a major league offer.
I'm not putting
it's a major league contract. So that's the thing.
Again,
it's like
it's a reliever. It's a reliever. You know how they can be.
I get what you're saying.
In May. I'm not. Yeah. So
saying, but
again, he'll have the lead. He'll be the. Again, like we talked about spring training, which we'll talk about in spring training recaps, the fast track to make the roster, because, again, he has that major league. But if he gets bombed, I'm not going to say not guaranteed to make the roster. But, again, the 4 guys you trust. If you're adding one of these guys, I think you can feel completely confident to at least get to the trade deadline. And hopefully David Stearns doesn't pull off the worst trade deadline acquisition of any relievers. And because, again, you can do that with – we see how many teams besides the Mets go out and add relievers at the deadline and solidify their bullpen.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility. And then these guys could be, again, we expect the Brewers to be a contender. The NL Central's better than what it was last year. So they're maybe a little more competitive. Obviously, the Cubs got better. Again, I don't see the Pirates as this like juggernaut, but the Pirates are going to be better. You have the Reds, who obviously beat our asses out for a playoff spot. And, they bring back Geno. They're better. You just have, the piss poor Cardinals left in that division. So, there's a world where maybe we can reconvene in these conversations. And I think this is what's the structure now to what do you want now to, if at the deadline the Brewers are not competing, these, we know what's the benchmark.
Yeah.
All right. Played the season. I think this is more deadline. Again, I wouldn't be surprised it happens now, but I think this is more, and I say that when Chaim Bloom making 4 trades with the Cardinals, I don't think Stearns is going to make multiple trades with the Brewers. Like, I think he hit his copium. He hit his, okay, I'm going to make a deal. I'm not making more. I think if they would have wanted the guys now, he would have just been a part of that super trade, and maybe you give up what you wanted, what they're asking for now, and just made that big blockbuster deal altogether. But again, it's possible.
Made it
yes,
separate. They made it separate.
I don't believe, again. I think that's deadline. I don't think this is happening now. I think they want their youth to get the opportunity, and if not, we can reconvene and open this pin back up trade deadline. Again, it can be separate. Again, I just don't see it. I mean, what's Megill making in arbitration? What was his arbitration number? Because that would be more realistic than Uribe. 4.7. But against the Brewers, small. Like, I think Megill is more realistic than Uribe, because I think Uribe is still pre-arb, right? I think his last year pre-arb. So he's still free.
He's pitched 2 full seasons. Like, he's still in pre-arb.
Yeah, so he's his last year of pre-arb. So, like, I think who's more realistic, I think Megill of the two, because of that money, because he's making real money, I think if they wanted to get off it. But again, we've seen them shed $8 million, and they thought that was a lot. So I guess I'll give Megill an opportunity. I think Abner would be a deadline situation. I think if you were to add one now, I think Megill is the more realistic one. Again, even though I think this is, let's have some dialogue, and then I think we can reconvene in a later date.
It's possible. I mean, you never know, obviously. We never know who they're attached to. Maybe they end up acquiring a reliever that we didn't even know that they were attached to be on this major league roster. However, they've already made 3 additions to this bullpen this offseason. No, 4, excuse me. Tobias Myers going to be in the opening day bullpen. You have Luis Garcia, who is on a major league contract, like I said. But like you said, what is it, $1.75 million. So again, it's not. It's definitely optionable. It's like that level of the Jorge Lopez, Jake Diekman, those guys that we had on like the $2 million deals. And then you have obviously Brooks Raley, and like you said, those 3 opening spots that he wants to keep open. It sucks that we have those 3 opening spots open, because right now it's those 3 opening spots could literally just go to Reed Garrett, AJ Minter, and Danel Nunez. All 3 of them that are down with injury. 2 of them with Tommy John surgery. 1 of them, AJ Minter, who's going to come back during the season. We don't know when it will be. So they definitely have a loss for injury here, and are definitely going to have to move around it, and I think that they will. However, there also is possibilities that maybe they give some of their young guys some leeway in the bullpen as well. We know Christian Scott just coming back from Tommy John surgery, even though I think he's going to be stretched out from a starter. But they could give him relief appearances to kind of ease him back in. You could see Jonah Tong. We know that there's reliever concerns along with him. There's, you never know. I know that he's developing some new pitches. We've heard some stuff about, adding in a changeup and a cutter for him. Like there's some different stuff that he has talked about. So maybe there's something there. But remaining flexible in this way, it definitely can add to what this bullpen is lacking in a guy like Trevor Megill. It can add into a guy, in velocity, or also fitting into what this team needs. If you're shoring up the defense up the middle, have Lindor and Simeon, a guy like Abner Uribe is like the perfect guy for that. So these are perfect fits to a bullpen that maybe they find a price that they like, and maybe they end up trading for them. I think that there's definitely high interest. I think there's high interest around the league for both of these guys, because these are 2 of the most elite relievers in baseball from last year. Yeah. So, it sucks. I mean, it sucks that, there's not a certain someone who ended up going off to LA here anymore that you can solidify it with. And maybe you have a little bit more of a discussion of that, more of a trade deadline. But we've moved on, and they're doing a bullpen that, I don't know, you don't know. There's a lack of velocity. However, it does fit, like we said, defense up the middle, and they're shoring up the defense, the run prevention, athletes in the corners. With these types of guys who can contact manage, get the swings and misses with crafty stuff, it fits well. You have a new pitching coach who knows what that approach is. Maybe somebody has velocity. Who knows? But I do think that this is something that they'll at least revisit eventually. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they made a move close to spring training for this bullpen, especially like we said for a long time, with Mark Vientos being that square peg in the round hole. Like, could he be somebody who's on his way out? That would make sense, right? Like, it makes sense. You have Vientos. Maybe there's somebody else in the farm system that they're looking at, like a guy that the Brewers like, a Nick Morabito, high contact, speedy pest guy, like those types of guys that we do have in this farm system. We do have a decent amount of them. So yeah, there's definitely there's a fit here. There is a fit of what the Brewers like, what the Mets like. Could it just be David Stearns, since he probably still has his credentials to walk into the Brewers stadium and kidnap Megill and Uribe? I don't know. He could just be, hey, they're come back to New York with me. Here's $5. Here's the signing rights to Nick Madrigal, and that's it. That's it. But I don't know.
Yeah, let me kick back here. I think Morabito makes Mark Vientos doesn't fit the Milwaukee Brewers. Like, they have their bulking first baseman in Andrew Vaughn, who was their, reclamation project, and their DH is Yelich. So, does it fit?
Yelich is playing left field now for them.
No, because they got still Frelick, Churio. I guess maybe he gets some play. He might play some. I think he more pitchers for the back, so he'd probably be at DH. But I think Vientos makes more sense in San Diego than he does in Milwaukee.
He does.
Because
he does. And I've mentioned guys like Jeremy Estrada, Adrian Morjon, who else? Jason Adam we've talked about before on this channel.
Yeah, he's gonna be. Yeah,
he's hurt. I think Mason Miller's kind of out of the question as of right now.
Yeah. What's the other Rays guy? They came with Adam that one year. Oh, what else?
Hoeing.
Yeah, Brian Hoeing's they're both disgusting.
Yeah.
I think that's more realistic. One, that they need a Mark Vientos bat. Again, the Brewers, they're weird.
Yeah.
They're nerds. So I just don't think they would want a Vientos. I think Vientos fits more San Diego.
I mean, if you map it out, it's, Baty for a starter in Pittsburgh. Vientos in Pittsburgh would be, I have no idea, a reliever. Vientos. So Baty in Pittsburgh for a
starter,
for a pitcher. Mark Vientos to San Diego as the best fit. And then there's also prospects that the Mets like.
More.
There's also prospects that the Mets have that the Brewers like for guys like Megill and Uribe and bullpen help there. So that's kind of how you map out the different roads. Or maybe there's a reliever that we haven't even discussed and has never been attached to them in medium all offseason long. Don't smile at me. You're creeping me out. What are you going to say?
Well, since I have sources, so I'll source off. I don't, but again, I know how genuinely I'm an idiot, but I know I have my ways. Colorado.
Yeah.
A guy like Victor Vatnik for Vientos.
Yeah.
You get his stuff. Obviously, we talked about Jimmy Herget. We've talked about Jimmy Herget in the past, and he had, again, having a great year in Colorado and Coors Field. I mean, I'm not saying I would take Vatnik.
He's not a velocity fit.
But Victor Vatnik for Mark Vientos. Hey, you know what? They're stupid. Give me Zach Veen too. I'll get him in our hitting development. They'll fix him. That's what you have to do. The Knicks do, again, to correlate to other sports. The New Orleans Pelicans GM, Leon Rose, has continuously finessed him. Find the stupid organization and keep calling them. If you see something on a stupid organization, keep calling them. Stearns loves to call his former guys. But there are dumb organizations. Take advantage of them. And I think Vientos, and you put Vientos in Colorado.
You hear that, Rockies? You're dumb.
Yeah. They have...
I also saw some stuff about what was it? Seth Halverson was talked about as somebody who could get moved.
That's another you get him in our pitching development. That's an they have no bats. They have Tovar short. Obviously Brent Doyle was an option before we got Robert. They DFA or non-tender Toglia, so they have an option. They don't have an internal guy because their farm system's there. I mean, Ethan Holiday, but he's a shortstop. I do think that could make sense. And again, it's a dumb organization. That one, you're telling me
find the Drury of the league.
And call them all the time. Trust me, Kyle Dubas is on the phone with Drury.
Halverson. But Halverson, that is a gas major right there. I mean, that's a gas major.
Again,
I mean, he just throws heat.
Again, I think if I'm David Stearns, you run if you get the jackpot and he turns back into 2024, you love the bat. But you also have the ability that he turns into 2023, 2025, 2022. He has multiple years of not be you can't.
He has multiple versions of himself. Yeah, he has split personality.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not
kind of like JD Davis. Remember when we kind of?
And that's maybe me being that right? Like, I don't love losing in the asset management in the sense of this guy doesn't have a future, but there's no role. Like, again, call Colorado, call the Cardinal, like the Cardinals, like JoJo Romero for Mark Vientos. Like, that's something I've Roy, what's the guy? Roy, they have a guy, Royce O. Heffer or something. He throws like 102. He's like 6'6". Like, he's probably gonna be their closer this year. Like, that down the line will be a trade deadline target. He just throws absolute gas. That's potentially the situation. The Nationals don't have anybody, but I wouldn't want to dump them in division.
Yeah,
Sacramento don't need them. Like, yeah,
there's plenty of avenues.
There's not many.
There's plenty of avenues. Yeah. There's plenty of guys who could be on the move and have that type of value that could be exchanged for like players with control. That obviously those types of teams are looking for because they're cheap, and even though they shouldn't be like that, it's whatever. And again, you also look at a team like Colorado, who I'm pretty sure in every category. I mean, they were bottom 10 in everything. I mean, they were bottom 10 in every. Yeah, I mean, here are the tier ranks right here. Fangraphs, they were 23rd in average, 30th in on-base percentage, 27th in OPS, 25th in home runs, 23 in stolen bases. Who, again, Mark Vientos could really help in stolen bases.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the starting pitchers go to die, basically dead last in everything except walks, where they're 21st. Their relief pitching, even though they have some decent relief pieces, bottom 5 in pretty much everything. The only thing that they really do the best is defense, to be honest. But defense is their bet, and most of that comes from Brenton Doyle. So
and Tovar at short.
And Tovar at short, up the middle, obviously. It's almost like defense up the middle is important.
And, like, I wouldn't be surprised, like, if you traded him to Colorado, I wouldn't be shocked if he's this year's Nolan Jones from a few years ago, where you're like, where the hell did this come from? Like, he needs that. Like we've said, like we continue to say, let him go to one of these bottom feeders, have 150 to 60 games played. Again, it's not going to work here. Like, that's the point. Let him go somewhere else, and if he's successful, by God, have fun. But there's a world where he plays for the Mets. He's not that, and I get it. Again, you want to hold on to that playoff run of that 2024 season. Understand if that's what you're hoping, good for you. I just don't love. I have multiple years of bad and one good, and I know it's very similar to someone else. At least the other guy does other things, where this guy is strictly only giving you stuff if he hits. If he doesn't hit, he doesn't do anything. Like that's my problem.
No,
like, I can't have one of these guys.
I 100% agree.
Does nothing.
Yeah,
so I
100% agree.
If you can get one of the relievers like Colorado, if Milwaukee wants them and they could fix them and give them the opportunities, again, they did it with Andrew Vaughn, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I just don't think Milwaukee fits.
If they still believe in Mark Vientos' bat, because again, that's fine if you do. However, you're playing a tightrope here. You really are, because again, Mark Vientos, like we said, if he does not hit, he's not going to give you anything else. Nothing else will be provided, especially with the guys that are being paid to play those types of type of parts. But, however, again, you're about like a month slump to start the season away from basically just wondering what the hell is Mark Vientos doing here, because you're not going to be able to move him. He's going to be taking up a bench spot. So it's like, he better hit, because if he doesn't hit, like, what are we going to do here? I have absolutely no idea, and that's the main reason as to why are they willing to take the bet on it. Because you're going to be wasting a roster spot because you can't send him down. He's out of minor league options. So I don't know. Doug in the chat saying, why do Mets fans think Brett Baty is Chipper Jones? Career 666 OPS. I saw Vientos dominate postseason pitching. Baty cannot hit, never hits good pitching. I have the same concerns that you have, buddy. But the TikTok edits, they prove that he is, in fantasy, the idea of him is better than anything that any other young player can do. I'm right there with you, man. I really am right there with you. And I'm sure we will revisit it eventually because I'm confident that it'll possibly be a topic of discussion. But when it comes to recency bias, Brett Baty is on pace to be in the MVP race, and Mark Vientos is a straight up bum. So that's basically how we are viewing it. And we all know that it doesn't take much for Mets fans to get excited about something. A guy can suck for 800 weeks, do something good for a day, and they will be cheering his name like a folk hero and chanting MVP at him. We all know. But, time will tell.
He had a higher WAR and higher OPS plus than Austin Riley last year. So, just saying, stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Opinions might. Numbers don't.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. No. So just no. Okay. The thing is that
numbers
context matters a lot. Context matters a lot, and
No, it doesn't.
there's a lot of holes in his game that show you that this is a complete fluke. But whatever, we'll get to that point when we get to it. All right, put a pin in it. Either way, some other topics since we have a little bit of time here. We're gonna play with that time a little bit. Carlos Beltran, the third player in Mets history to represent the Mets in the Baseball Hall of Fame. First two being Seaver and Piazza. Both of those numbers are in the rafters for the Mets. So is 15 the next one? We know that they've had discussions about it, obviously. We know that there's some controversy around Beltran recently. And I'm not going to say that, okay, I'm not going to, hey, we got to tell the full story. We got to tell the full story here. Can't be patching things up.
Cheating, you ain't trying. No.
Can't
Y'all
can't
want
be.
Bonds in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. I know.
I don't want to hear it.
But
same people.
We'll
Bonds are Clement. Don't want to hear it. Shut up.
We'll see. But yeah. So, I mean, did we really have any doubt that he wouldn't pick the Mets? Like, I feel like Astros, Royal, but he's hired by the organization. And he's going into into the Mets Hall of Fame this year.
I'll be there whenever the hell that happens.
Like, he's going to the Mets Hall of Fame this year. How do you, go into that type of atmosphere and give that type of speech when you're like, oh yeah, I'm going into the Hall of Fame as an Astro? You know what I mean? That's weird.
Well, I mean, his most legendary moments is when he was an Astro, and that is in the positive and in the negative. So there's a world where that could. I mean, there was rumors and I think if he got his way, he would have wore a Puerto Rico hat. Which there was some rumors that he wanted to wear the Puerto Rican hat on his instead of wearing anything. But obviously they didn't let that happen. But because MLB hates Puerto Rico. But that's a different conversation. I think it should have been a Met hat, and I think it's fine and it's cool. I didn't care to an extent because for us in our site, he's a Met Hall of Famer, and I don't need a plaque to kind of it has to be, hey, he's a Met Hall of Famer. Again, it's cool. We'll see. Again, speaking of, can we announce the damn promo schedule, Cohen? I'm trying to plan a trip, but can you announce the damn schedule for things, please? It's almost spring training. Every other team's got their shit out except us.
He spent 7 years with the Mets, 7 years with Kansas City, 2 years with Houston, but he was definitely a huge key part to them, right?
On both sides, yeah.
Yeah, on both. I think they went to the World Series in both of those years.
No, he lost in NLCS to the Cardinals.
I don't think he would wear an Astros cap after what had happened over these past few years.
Well,
I don't think he would have chose that.
That's me being a troll. I would.
I'm insulted that he didn't pick the Yankees cap, because when you're a Yankee, you have to wear that with a badge of honor. Yeah, he would either go as a Royal or.
I'm surprised he's not wearing a Ranger hat.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't wear a Ranger
hat. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Puerto Rico, like you said, Francisco Lindor will not be playing for Team Puerto Rico in the WBC due to the procedure that he underwent in the offseason to clean up like loose bodies in his elbow. We've seen him have elbow procedures before. It looked like they were trying to get him in like last minute, but they kind of failed. Javier Baez, former Met, was barred from doing it because testing positive for usage of marijuana.
Oh god!
And then Correa is not playing either. So the best player on that team is probably Nolan, who recently has not been fantastic offensively. So is PR... I don't know if PR is not in great shape. Let's just say for this World Baseball Classic. Let's just say that.
Oh, gotta make it easy for the U.S. to get to the damn. And I will say this, and this is how much you want to bet the Dominican Republic still finds a way to lose to this team? Because the Dominican Republic is the Toronto Maple Leafs of this tournament. They can have the greatest roster known to man, but yet they will still find a way to choke. Yes, I know they beat us in 2012. That's one tournament. Every other time they lose to us in the friggin' semifinals. But yeah, thanks MLB. Can't watch Puerto Rico play at their prime. But Team USA, all good. Everyone's clear magically. Team Japan.
I understand we have Ohtani and we have Judge and we have all these superstars playing it, but like the WBC is not the same without Francisco Lindor. Like it isn't. It's not the same without Francisco Lindor. It's not the same without it. I don't know. It's just that's a loss. That's a huge loss. That really is a huge loss. And I'm not just saying that as a Mets fan, but it's like he's had a lot of electric moments in the WBC.
And here's my thing. This is an MLB tournament. This isn't like the Olympics where there's a different committee.
Yeah.
This is an MLB-based tournament. So by their logic, Francisco Lindor, Javier Baez, Carlos Correa should not be allowed to play in spring training games. Same logic. Same teams.
Yeah.
Same MLB-operated league.
It really doesn't.
So then I don't want to see Lindor,
I know that people
Correa.
I know that people have their gripes with the WBC, obviously, with the injury that was caused to Edwin Diaz. It is seen as a meaningless tournament, obviously. If these guys want to play, my view is basically if these guys want to play, okay, if these guys want to go out there and represent their country in March before the season starts, go ahead and do it. That is fine. However, if you do end up getting hurt, you will be held responsible for it. You will be held liable for it. And it shouldn't be something that is completely, no. I mean, if you're a star that gets hurt, the team that employs you, I mean, that's a detriment. It really is. Again, we know that Lindor has been an Iron Man. We know that, Correa's been banged up a lot. Baez has been banged up in lineups. Yeah, smoking weed as well. But again, it's just I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what DR does. Well, we know that the PR is still going to play, right? But without Francisco Lindor, even Javier Baez, no Correa, that's an identity of that Puerto Rican, that's a core of that Puerto Rican team that for the last two WBCs, it's going to look completely different because Nolan was playing for the American team. He was playing for the Johan Santana, pitching coach for Venezuela. So congrats to him. The Mets have a lot of guys playing. Huskar Brazaban will play for the Team Dominican Republic. Jared Young, Team Canada. Jared Young, still in the Mets organization. I believe they have another...
playing for Italy.
Morbido is playing for Team Italy.
Obviously, the white guys are playing for Team USA. McLean, Clay Holmes, they're playing for Team USA.
The white guys are playing.
Who else? Who else in that picture? Obviously, Soto is playing for DR. DR. He's a cap. Is that true? He's the captain Was that
Is he the
just somebody
captain? I know
else there?
Francisco Lindor's the captain. So who's the captain
Lindor was
now?
obviously captain Puerto Rico. Yeah,
Who's the captain now?
Who knows? Doesn't matter.
I don't know, man.
No. Fucking Nolan Arenado's our best offense. We went for man. TJ Rivera playing. I didn't know if bring TJ back at this point. I don't care. Tournament's ass now.
Eddie
Killed
Rosario?
my whole vibe for being
Is he your captain?
Yeah, that's
now?
our captain. You know what? That's our captain is Eddie Rosario. That's our captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
because Maldonado's not even playing, right? He's on the PR roster?
I think Maldonado's playing, but he's probably not going to play that much. Is Nito playing?
I don't think. I mean, again, these are options.
What's it called? Isn't Melendez on that team? But he's not a catcher anymore.
No, I don't even know who's on the. I was so pissed. I don't even know who's on the roster. I know Arenado and Edwin Diaz are on. That's the only people I know is on my. I'm like still pissed.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. It still should be. It still should be fun, but Lindor is definitely a big loss. He is, because we all know how with the Mets, when he goes, the Mets go. When he goes, that Puerto Rican team goes as well. Like he's the guy that puts the key in the ignition for that team. You know, like that's basically it. Yeah. I guess
me and Frank are just gonna be go Team USA, go generic white dudes, because God, that team is just awful. I guess so. Noel McLean, Clay Holmes, let's go, boys.
Fernando bring us on. The guy from the Yankees, he's on there. It looks like you have decent more decent pitching.
The pitching is
I'd say Yaxel Rios, he was with the Mets organization. Christian Vasquez, Martin Maldonado,
he's playing a winning ball.
Nolan Arenado, Edwin Aurora, Jesus Christ, Daryl. Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit short. Carlos Cortez, former Mets farm infielder, is on that team. Heliot Ramos, former All-Star like 2 years ago.
Butcher in left field, cool. Yeah,
Butcher in left field, and so is Eddie Rosario. This is run thin. So Nolan, you're gonna have to turn back the clock, buddy, because we'll see.
You're playing for the Rockies, bud. Welcome back to Colorado. That's the team you gotta carry. But they're not getting out of group stage.
Yikes!
They're done. Because they're in Venezuela so Venezuela and Dominican Republic are going to be on the block. Finally, the Dominican Republic gets out of the block stages, and then cheer for Team USA, I guess. Nolan McLean to get some national spotlight.
Yeah, the groups for what's it called? They have
Venezuela, Dominican.
Yeah, the
I don't know who the wild cards are. Who are the wild cards?
Yeah, the full it's Pool A. You got Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Canada, Panama, and Colombia. Right, I think. Right or no? Dominican Republic is in.
Yeah. I don't know. You're
hold on. This might be outdated. Hold on.
It should be 4 teams per pool. 4 pool. Obviously, the Japanese one at the Tokyo Dome. Chase Field's the American in Canada, probably Great Britain.
Yeah, so Pool D, I think is
Pool
D, Pool A, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Canada, Panama, and then the TBD qualifier. Pool B, United States, Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, TBD qualifier, and then Pool C is Japan, Australia, Korea, Czech Republic. Czech Republic. It says Czechia. I don't think that's correct. And then TBD qualifier, and then Pool D is Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Netherlands, Israel, and TBD qualifier. So there you go.
Oh no! Oh my God! They put. Oh God! There's a game that's going to be an absolute bloodbath, and if I say it on the internet, I'm going to get canceled. But you know exactly what I'm thinking.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking
about.
The
Platinos against that team is going to be that. The memes of that will be good, but I will say that for.
Anyways,
I will say that.
Yeah. So one more thing I want to point out here, just to take some jabs, and there's a certain Bear that was not picked for the USA team after doing it last time.
They took a fucking retirement home player over. Cheeto Bear.
Wow.
Huh.
So weird. So odd.
I mean, it's weird that like this was supposed to be this generational talent, and they took Paul Goldschmidt. Again, I think there's a guy in Oakland that kind of should be at the first base position. I love you.
I think that would have been. Yeah.
I mean, I love you, Bryce. I mean, Bryce, I love you. I'm the very rare Met fan that loves you, but yeah, I would have took the big Amish, but that's just me. Again, you need some leadership, and Bryce is, a leader. Maybe not the best one, but love you, Bryce. But yeah, no
He's
Cheeto
matured.
Bear. Hey, they took Ernie Clement over the squirrel, the gerbil.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's who they
They
replaced.
took Bryce Terang over the squirrel.
Oh God, Bryce Terang, dude. Oh God, if I gotta hear Bryce Terang versus Nico Horner
Anyways,
anymore,
I'm excited for the WBC
yeah.
still, even though PR is kind of completely dismantled.
I'm not, but
we also have that guy Juan Soto. Bo Bichette is not playing, by the way, for Team Brazil.
No.
Is Robert playing for Dominican Republic?
He did last time. He wasn't announced, so I guess not. He did last
time,
but he didn't. Not
Senga is not doing Japan, obviously. He can barely stay on the mound for the Mets.
They want talent.
Is Luis Torrens Venezuela?
No, he wasn't on there.
No,
he's not playing over Salvi or Alvarez.
Francisco Alvarez won't do it. Maybe he does in the future, but probably not. Is Brooks Raley doing U.S.?
No,
he was on U.S. last time. I don't know.
He was last. Yeah, they didn't send him this year.
Polanco?
No, he's not playing for DR.
Polanco's not. No, he's not going for DR. No. I mean, obviously, DR has a lot of talent, obviously. So
I think they have a couple of corner infielders that can play first base.
But either way,
take your pick.
I'm excited. I still am excited. We have plenty of Mets going in this, even without Francisco Lindor. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
but either way, last coming out of the WBC talk. Either way, still a possibility that maybe one move gets made. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, after a decent hiatus, Frank will be back next week, our third co-host. And like I said earlier in the show, we also have the next week after that, we will be having a very special guest on here. I'm very excited for this one. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Either way, Andrew, last words, anything? We're getting closer and closer to pitchers and catchers reporting. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, guys are already down there. Most of the important guys are already down there. I got one more show, and then after next week's show, I will be in Port St. Lucie, so I'm excited. I mean, and I'll be out of Port St. Lucie before first pitch of spring training actually starting. So I'm excited to, get down there, have some fun, and who knows what leak sources and news I'll break while I'm down there. And again, could we see another reliever? Very possible. Could we see another surprising trade? Who knows? Again, teams are, but also you could see things during spring training because that's got injuries happen in spring training. That's you could see some more movement. So even still, there's still a little bit of work to be done. We'll see if he does it or he's just going to believe in his internal depth.
We'll see. And you never know. You know that David Stearns has said many, many times before that the team on opening day might not be the team the next week. You just never know. Either way, we are going to hop off here, guys. For those of you who came through for the entire 2 hours and watched the whole show, we appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for watching. On playback, if you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to know when we go live, which is regularly 7:30 on Friday. That is throughout all of spring training until we get to the regular season. We are going live twice a week after every single series of regular season games. Either way, make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually, including Frank, who is not here, but like we said, we'll be back next week. And finally, let's go Mets as the countdown begins to spring training and pitchers catchers reporting. We will see what is in store, but we will see you guys until then next time.